Yeah, 3 times today. There we go. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Paranormal, the New Normal. I'm your host, Jeremy, as always, trying to make this world seem a little more normal. Does this ever really happen? Not really, no. But we try anyway, and today's might make it a little more normal. We'll see. We'll see. Sorry I missed the last couple of days, guys. Guest just couldn't make it, so shows didn't go happen. But I'm back, and I got another full week this week for you guys, so no worries. But let me introduce my companion on today's Path to Normalcy, Benjamin Ramos. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I forgot to ask. But Benjamin is a soulmate relationship expert and a paranormal experiencer, so I had to talk to him. How you doing today, Ben?
I'm doing excellent, and I'm really happy to be here. It's a great change, rather than just being on a regular interview show about my job and everything. So I do have a lot to say about the paranormal. Trust me.
Well, that's a good thing on this show, especially. And and Ben is also a veteran, so thank you for your service. I always like to point that out there when I have veterans in the show.
Thank you, thank you.
But let me start with the first question I ask everybody on this show. What got you into the paranormal?
It's been with me my whole life. Just not really a hobby or anything intense, but I've noticed things that are quite. It's scary sometimes. I'm not. I don't live in fear about it. I just kind of learned to mature and to be strong and see. Okay, what does that mean? Little signs that life gives you, not always ghost related, perhaps. But I do have some cool notes here. This also comes from my soulmate because she's really interested in this topic as well. She did ask me what my motive was for doing this show and why I'm not doing another interview. And I said, because this is very interesting and I would love to do a show like this. So thank you for
Mhm.
having me. The number one on my list is the phenomenon of poltergeist, moving objects in the home, or you just when you can't find something, an apple moves out of the basket, or pillows, or misplacing objects that you didn't misplace. It had to have moved by itself. It's just impossible, illogical. It you can't even explain it, and that's happened to both of us. So it's more than just a coincidence, and I just would like to hear your input on it. Those are just a few examples. The poltergeist are number one.
Yeah, I mean, I do live in a possessed house, so poltergeist experience is something I actually haven't experienced even living in a possessed house. There are just spirits here, but they don't really, from what we've seen, they really don't do poltergeist type activities. They just kind of hang out, for lack of a better word. But it's, I mean, I almost kind of wish they did sometimes, just because, it'd be more of a confirmation that they're there most of the time. But I just, I don't know, just it doesn't happen. I mean, we've had investigators in and everything, and they've talked to them, but they're just not, but they're not dicks. They're not the type of spirits that are dicks and are going to try to destroy your house. I guess I mean, from what I'm told, it's the original owners of the house, so I guess they don't want to destroy the house they built. So makes sense in a way.
Yeah, it sounds like you're comfortable with it already, because that would freak me out if I knew that some houses, I believe, let me see if I'm correct on this, you kind of feel the presence that something's wrong, like it's the home is a little colder, or the place that you're at, it's always colder, and it's always just this eerie feeling that something's in the air. It's like this
Yep.
energetic presence. I do believe that evil energy exists and good energy exists. I'm not religious at all, by the way. I don't choose any religion. I'm not against it. I mean, if that's what people choose to believe, I respect them, but often they don't respect me because I choose not to have a religion. But at the same time, I'm not atheist and I'm not an agnostic. I just believe I have to mention this because we're talking about the things you can't really see and that you believe exist, that can't be detected by the naked eye. So I just want to say that I do believe that energies are out there. So, in the form of ghosts and paranormal activity, absolutely, there's got to be something there inexplicably because the next one on my list is, for example, cats. For some reason, cats, if I let them into the home, they go around meowing in every single room. And I'm like, what are you doing? And I researched why cats do this, and they're supposedly warding off evil spirits. Is that what I get from that?
It's been long. I mean, cats are interesting. I mean, dogs are the same way, kind of. It's just dogs are a little bit more lackadaisical, I guess. But I mean, it's long been theorized that animals have a closer connection to the spiritual realm than we do, and that they can see things we can't see. They kind of can sense when something is near. I mean, I have two dogs, and they when we first got them as puppies, they would kind of like just stare into like a part of the room that nothing was there, and
Right.
then they would start, and sometimes they'd start barking at when they were puppies. But I mean, so they could definitely sense things. That's definitely something they could definitely sense it. I mean, whether or not, who knows? I mean, I've talked to pet psychics and animal communicators on here as well, and they say like that animals have a much they have a better view of the world than we ever will. They can kind of sense where there's interdimensional weaknesses, and they can kind of sense where things are that shouldn't be. I mean, that's why dogs are the first thing dogs will sense a Bigfoot before a human ever will. So I mean, it's just, yeah, it's their smell, of course, too, but I mean, animals have a special connection to the world.
Yeah,
That's
and
the way I like.
also
That's what.
something that parallels that are babies. Like sometimes, little toddlers, they start talking to the walls, like really legit talking. They're mumbling, but it's kind of gets curious after a while because they're just like "Ju- ju- 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 ju," and I'm like, who, what are you talking to? Like, do you think that they can actually see things at that level of age, like that we can't see when we're little toddlers? Do you think there is any validity to that?
Well, I mean, I hate to bring pop culture in this. Actually, no, I don't. I love pop culture, but there was a movie when I was a kid called Baby Geniuses,
Hmm.
and I don't know if you remember it, but basically, it's the theory that in this movie is about the theory that before babies cross that threshold, like around 3 years old, they kind of understand everything better. They are even intelligent, more intelligent than adults. Like, and that theory in that movie kind of applies to paranormal too, because you got to think about it. These newborns, babies, they just came from the spiritual realm, from the wherever we come from, whether it's another dimension or something. I mean, I honestly, no one really knows where we come from or where we go, but people may think they do.
Right.
That's why I don't like religion. That's why I don't like religion either. But we,
Yeah,
and I am
exactly. Yeah.
I am agnostic. I am agnostic. I believe there's something out there, but I don't know what it is, and I don't want to put a
Right.
name to it until I know what it is. But basically, babies like just came out of the spiritual realm. So I mean, is it illogical to think that they still would have a connection to it? Of course not. No, of course they're gonna have a connection to it still, and of course they're going to see things because they also haven't been coached or guided by their parents yet to not believe in things. That's what everybody would be able to see the spiritual realm the same way they did when they were babies. If their parents didn't raise them to keep saying, "Oh, that's not real. You didn't hear anything. You didn't see anything. It's all in your head." Like that's just parents have shut down. I mean, parents in general have shut down the paranormal field for decades, centuries even, because they were religious and they didn't want to believe there's anything out there besides religion. So I mean, I can't tell you how many psychics and mediums and clairvoyants I've talked to that didn't discover their powers till later in life because their parents told them like, "Oh no, you can't do that. Like you're making things up," and then they just shut themselves down because of the way the parents treat them. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, babies are definitely more connected to the spiritual realm. I mean, I can't tell you how many creepy stories and videos I've seen of like baby. I've seen so many videos of babies like talking to something in a room that no one else is in, like on the baby monitor, and it's creepy as freaking hell. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
exactly.
and I mean, in some of these videos, like you even hear something like baby monitor will even sometimes catch like something else like talking back, and that's the creepy part. Like it's very faint in most videos. You can barely hear it unless
Wow.
you really like break it down. But you could, it's creepy. I mean, cameras can catch things that the human ear can't. But so it's, I don't know. Babies are definitely more connected to the spiritual realm, though. That's a folk belief of mine.
Yeah, they also measure magnetic activity, and you're right about the indoctrination, taking away the innocence of the children, and then they become maybe perhaps less. They have less perception, which maybe we could have if we weren't so heavily indoctrinated, and even language itself. We were taught how to speak and how to think and what's right and wrong and yada yada. But yeah, I'll move on to the next one, which are dreams. If you think anything, I know this isn't, I mean, it's technically paranormal, but because it's really creepy, because I think throughout history they have a description for if you have a dream about a white bird or an owl, or even a suitcase full of I don't know, these types of papers burning or something. It's, you can pretty much look up any type of dream and they'll have an explanation for it. It's kind of always perplexed me, because sometimes, well, I don't know if even most of the time, I'll dare say that they're actually correct. They're in the right ballpark. And I just want to see what your take on that is, before I get into the actual paranormal, a little bit more serious.
Well, I mean, dreams are highly paranormal. I mean, when we dream, which I don't dream that often in the last decade, I just haven't. But I mean, it could be from many different things, but I don't dream often, or if I do, I barely remember them. But
Same here. Yeah.
dreams, yeah, I think it's part of getting older. I think it's part of just life. But I mean, there are some people, but then again, there are some adults I've talked to who can remember every dream they've had with pure recollection. I mean, it's just, but dreams are a portal, I think, I think when we dream, we actually go to another dimension, kind of, or multiple dimensions, maybe even. I can't really explain it. I've talked to lucid dreamers, I've talked to astral projectionists, and there are, I mean, I've had lucid dreamers confirm that there are 17 other dimensions, and that when he dreams, he can control which one he goes to. Sometimes he's just forced to go to one. But I mean, there these when you dreams are interesting. I mean, we really don't understand what happens. I mean, we don't know. We only use what 10% of our brain at most, so we don't know what the rest of our brain can do. So what if when we're dreaming, or I should say, when we're sleeping, like our brain's able to do things that we quite can't comprehend. We just quite can't comprehend yet. Like, what if it's just us us basically interdimensionally traveling? Like, what if we're just seeing things based on something we need? What if it's something we need to see, or what if it is a sign? I mean, premonitions have been a thing for a long time, and I've had premonitions in my life, like things I dream that come true at a later date. I mean, I don't think it's like
Yeah.
what's that movie? Well, I don't want to call it Final Destination. I kept wanting to say Final Fantasy. I don't think it's like I don't think it's going to be like as serious as Final Destination all the time, where you're going to be dreaming of like the way you die. I don't think that's the case. I mean, I think it's just premonitions happen, and it can be the stupidest little thing from conversations that you're going to have in school that in a couple weeks or something like that, or a conversation you're going to overhear. It doesn't have to be like a real thing, like, or a real important thing at least. I mean, yes, some people have premonitions and it saves lives. It could save their life. It could save someone in their family's life. I've talked to people like that. But I don't know. Dreams have always been an interesting topic for me. I mean, it's just the way it goes.
Yeah, I think I have to mention deja vus on the side here. It was going to be later on,
Hmm.
but deja vus, I've had lots of them in the past. Also, seeing the number 33 constantly when I felt like something in my life needs to change. And then when I finally change it, I don't see 33 anymore. It's just really strange. Deja vus, I don't, it's very rare that I have them, but I used to have them all the time, even in my 20s. So it's kind
Yeah,
of, just want to see your take on that.
yeah. I mean, deja vu and synchronization are all very real things. I mean, certain numbers pop up for certain people all the time, and yeah, I mean, maybe you win the lottery if you play those. Who the hell knows? But I mean, it's just usually a sign. It's usually a sign that something has to change. I mean, A lot of people see a certain time on the clock every day, and they don't know why. Like but it's going to
Right.
hold some significance. It's going to hold some significance eventually, but they don't know why right away. Like it's just, why is it? Why am I waking up at? Why am I looking at the clock every day at 11:11? Like it's just weird.
Yes. Yeah, it's not
I
even
just,
a coincidence. It's just multiple times. Like, oh my goodness, it just happened right now. Even just see, that's what I get for talking about it. It's 3:33 right over here in Germany. I just looked at it and I didn't even want to. Like, great, it just happened. That's just I can't
yeah.
believe that. I mean, okay, well there it is. Wow, I didn't have that for like a couple of years. I didn't see that. Now I saw it. And sometimes it is 333 or quadruple three or even five unlicensed plates when I'm driving out there. Like, why? And well, there we go. I have to go change something sometime, so I'll get back to that.
Oh, I
Incredible.
mean,
Anyway,
the universe knew you were talking about it, so I wanted to show you that it's listening.
that's probably because we're talking about paranormal stuff. So you see, it's linked. Something's linked there. I mean, because see, now it's 3:34. So it just happened right when I just mentioned that. That's incredible. But
Yeah.
anyways, to people who don't understand what it feels like, I hope you do experience it one day so you can know exactly what that feels like. It's very strange. But another thing, I did supplement with gemstones, putting it underneath my pillow because we were talking about dreams and things coming true. And I could seriously promise that something changed. This was like back in 2018. I'll put a whole bunch of different gemstones, gave him the moonlight sometimes, outside, and put him in a sock underneath my pillow. And I could swear that my intuitive abilities were just increasing, just daily by the week. And I could just start seeing through things. And, like they call them conspiracies, but I understand them. I understand what they're talking about. And I mean, I don't have to subscribe to any conspiracy theory, but just life in general, deception, and what I think is deception and what I think is truth. And but you have to keep your mouth shut these days because people will just massacre you if you say something that's contradictory to the main narratives. But I could promise that those gemstones have really opened my intuition because I do believe in that sixth sense. Maybe there's even more senses, by the way. What's your take on that?
Well, one, gemstones, as you call them, or crystals, as a lot of people call them, are not a conspiracy. I wouldn't say they're just not everybody's cup of tea, but um, I truly believe. I mean, I don't mess with crystals. It's just not something I ever been into. I've interviewed tons of people who deal with them. I know people on a daily basis who deal with them, and they do work, from what I've been told. And I mean, if the people that are telling me this, I believe. I don't believe they're going to lie to me about this, because why would they? I mean, crystals have become such a huge part of the paranormal field nowadays that everybody and their mother is selling them online, or blessing them and selling them, or just blessing them themselves and using them. Like
Right.
it's almost become a normal thing. I mean, when a couple hundred years ago people said, "Oh, I use this crystal," like it would have been, "Witch, burn them." Like, like it's insane, like how normal it became over the last 20, 30 years. And I get it. I mean, and crystals can hold power. I mean, I've known people who've told me that, and I people I've known my whole life all of a sudden started using them and saying they work. And like, I'm like, okay, why would you lie to me about it? Why would you even bring it up if it didn't work? Like, you wouldn't
Yeah.
talk to me.
Because the fascinating thing is that they come from the earth, like deep inside the earth in different places. So they
Hmm.
got to be charged with some type of energy that we just don't understand. For example, in cartoons and comic books, you see crystals on the king's crown or the queen's crown, or just on the body, like body armor, like this type of blue crystal, yellow, all different colors and sizes and shapes. And you wonder, is there any truth to that? I mean, why would they even? I mean, it can't be fictional because now I've experienced it by myself several years ago. Not recently anymore. I think maybe the effects just don't have an effect on me now. Maybe because I'm fully aware of my intuition now. Maybe I don't need them anymore. But I felt like they did do something to me several years ago, like in terms of waking me up as to stop being indoctrinated and see the world for what it really is. Just kind of like in the Matrix where Neo could see through the walls. That's the best description I can give. Which ironically, the Matrix is all about truth telling. What the world really is, and not what you've been dreaming about in the Matrix, which means artificial womb. So it's the fake reality. But yeah, it's like a wake up call. That's why they use the phones also in the movie. But without getting lost in the movie, The Matrix, I just felt like the gemstones did that to me. They just awakened me, and now I just don't need them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and hey, Shannon, glad to see you watching. And Shannon says, like, the more valuable, the more expensive, like medicine would, like, that's the way it is with diamonds, precious metals, like, that's the way it is with crystals. Like, it's
Right.
basically, I mean, it's the rarer ones are more expensive and all that loveliness. But it's, it's just economy for you, like, nothing you can do about it. But I, I just totally lost what I was thinking. Oh, I mean, see, it's the funny thing is you bring up the Matrix, and I mean, simulate simulation theory is a real thing. I mean, there's actually people who believe we are living in a Matrix and that maybe our dreams are the escape from the Matrix. It's true. I mean, but are we actually living in a alien or extraterrestrial like generated? Because it wouldn't be robots or anything like that. It would be extraterrestrials, if anything, that are controlling it. So are we really living in that type
Yeah,
of
I
society, like that type of matrix? Like it's possible. It's possible. I mean, I've seen some things that I can't explain, definitely, and I've heard plenty of
mhm,
stories of people seeing like glitches in the matrix where like they're walking. I've heard stories of people walking down like their neighborhood road, like adults, like walking down a neighborhood road they lived in for 20 years, and they turn a corner they turned 1,000 times before, and they turn the corner and it's like they're in a different world for a minute until they get to the end of the street and turn another corner, and then like it's like they're back in their own. It's like there's a glitch in the matrix, and we pop through the wall for a minute and then we get sucked back in. Like it's strange. I mean, I heard a guy tell a story of his on a podcast where he actually I forget exactly how he got there, but he was in another dimension basically where the wheels on tires were square. I mean, yeah, the tires on cars are square, were square instead of round. Like,
interesting.
and there was actually one car in history that did have that, but it quickly got faded out because who the hell would do that? But like that really wouldn't work too well. But I mean, it's just I, there's no real like I don't know. It seems the years didn't match up for that or anything, so it seems like it was a glitch in the matrix. You gotta love it. Like there's so many stories of glitches in the matrix that it's just maybe we are. I mean, or it could just be us slipping dimensions. It could not be like it couldn't doesn't have to be a matrix thing by any means. But what if we are living
Yeah,
in like an extraterrestrial design matrix? I mean, South Park had it too. Like Earth is a reality show put together by extraterrestrials. They took all these species from different planets and put them on one planet together to see what happens. Like I don't know. It's interesting. It really is. Like
yeah. I would say the thing that I agree on with simulation theory is life is some sort of test, and it's inexplicable, but it does feel like a test because just because of the existence of evil itself, like I believe things happen for a reason, but other things they just happen and you just can't do anything about it. It doesn't happen for a reason; it's just gonna happen. Like just evil, unfortunate events. Like there's no explanation. It just happens, and like it's like a bulldozer. You can't stop it. It's gonna happen. And then so people ask, well, why? He's such a good person. Why did that happen to them? And what I say is like I do believe things happen for a reason, but not this. This is something just purely evil that unfortunately happens in life, inexplicable. But life is some type of test. I mean, sometimes it can be very cruel. So the fact that those energies exist, everybody can kind of agree on that. That there's good and evil out there, just type of energy. For example, that's what I was going to bring segue into this one. I have experienced my soulmate and I scratches on our backs, like actual when we wake up, maybe three or four. Like if you just scratch with your nails on somebody's back, and like these are real wounds, but they're not really deep, but they're red. So it's like real scratches. And we researched on online, and it happened during tough times, very stressful moments in our lives, and but it never happened since. It was just during
hmm.
that time many years ago, about maybe I don't know, a couple of decades or so ago. And then we didn't have an explanation. It really freaked us out because it happened to both of us on our backs. And we're like, what is this? And so other people apparently have experienced that scratches.
Yeah, I mean, people wake up with marks on them all the time, and then sometimes not logical or explainable. I mean, there's plenty of situations where it is logical and just something they scratched themselves while they were sleeping, or an animal did, something like that. But um, well, first things first, I gotta ask, you and your soulmate were both in the same bed at that moment, like at that night?
No, the
or were you, or
same,
just
same residence. So, different rooms, but
oh,
that's
and
what's
there,
really
and
inexplicable. The same night, even, that's what's so. I would
well,
believe if I
yeah, I mean,
scratched myself, but her too, like in the same
I,
way.
I mean, and the fact that it's on your back, reaching your back isn't always that easy of a thing to do and actually scratch it. So I
Right.
guess, I mean, there's no history of sleepwalking between the two of you, because I
No,
gotta
when
ask
I
these
was a little
questions just to be
kid,
sure.
yes, but when I was a little kid, like younger than age 10, yes, I was caught sleepwalking multiple times, but ever since then, nope. Talking in my sleep, yeah, or screaming, or but other than that,
Yeah.
not anymore. It's just normal snoring, but other than that, no. That's why it was so inexplicable, and that's why we wanted to research about it, because and that's what's really convincing about the paranormal is, okay, how did that happen? Because we do believe in something's more than a coincidence, and it happened during a really tough time in my life, where I was establishing my independence away from my family because it got abusive, and so I had to leave. And it's like, okay, I can understand it happening to me for some strange reason, but you too. That's okay. What's going on here? You know.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, and I mean, it's not uncommon. I mean, I've heard there's plenty of experiences out there, people getting random marks on them while they're sleeping. I mean, spirits have been known to scratch. Other entities have as well. It's unknown what shadow people really do. So it could, I mean, there's a lot of different entities out there that do have histories of scratching people, or, ju- uh, but I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's inter, how, I mean, I have to really see a picture of it to really like be like, what the hell? But
Just
it,
imagine, just imagine, like, the Monster Energy drinks with the three claw marks. Just imagine like three or four of those puppies on
all
somebody's
right. I
back,
mean,
like, not that deep, but I mean, it's you can tell, like, it looks like somebody really scratched you with either four or three fingers, like just straight down, and you look around you in your bed, and it's like, well, nothing could have scratched me like that at any time, and both of us scratched like that. It's kind of
and
like this predator
I have to,
nails or
I,
whatever.
I have to ask, you guys don't own a cat, or you guys didn't own a cat or anything at the time, or a dog?
No, no, no pets at all. Nope.
All
Absolutely. That's a
right.
good question, actually. That's a very good question, but nope, absolutely no
Well,
pets at all.
I mean, I love the paranormal, but part of being a someone who actually talks about it is you have to play the skeptic at times just to make sure that
Yes,
you cover all
yes.
grounds, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's happened before. It really isn't that surprising. I mean, if it happened on a regular occurrencing basis, then I would be like, all right, something needs to be done here. Like this house needs to be cleansed or something along those lines. But I mean, it
Well, I
happens. I
mean,
mean, if
in
it
the
didn't have,
same yeah, in the same home, by the way, I can talk about a couple of other things, which is on my list also. Um, you know, uh, okay, I'll just go ahead and jump to this one. Just having things move around to the poltergeist thing we talked about in the beginning, but this is like making paintings fall off the wall that just doesn't even explain. Like, we even analyze it. Like, there's no logical way that it would fall that far off the wall, and there's no gust of wind or anything possible. And it also television turning on at the middle of the night. We just looked at the sockets and the controller. It's like, okay, how did that happen? And I even had this happen recently, like a couple months ago. The same residence, by the way. The kitchen, there's a cabinet. The light switch is inside. It's a very hard switch to turn on, by the way. It's inside the cabinet. I never use it. And then one morning I come over to the kitchen and it's on. I'm like, how did that turn on? There's no explicable, there's no that on remote control. It's just okay, it's just inexplicable, okay? So, I mean, aside from moving things, it's kinda like, trying to scare you, I guess. So, since you said that your house is haunted over there, do you get, like, the paranormal trying to scare you, intimidate you with these types of things?
no,
Annoy you, perhaps?
no. No, as I said earlier, I like to use the word possessed, not haunted, because it's not really haunted.
Oh,
It's just
gotcha.
it's
Yeah.
more because haunted implies that they're bad entities. But uh, I mean, yeah, it's possessed. I mean, I don't ever get a bad feeling that like I mean, when we first moved in, like yeah, you kind of sometimes got that feeling, but I think after they got used to us and learned to put up with us, like it just kind of was like, okay, they're here to stay. They're not going anywhere. We're just gonna live with them. We're just gonna chill here. I mean, I've had mediums in my show telling me there was like a crowd of spirits behind me just kind of chilling. And that was right after we that was right after we cleansed the house too. So they kind of all looked like they were
Oh.
stoned, she said, and they were just like kind of like walking back and forth stoned. So
Okay. Yeah, because
I,
some people
I,
play around with that, like, they act like that's happening, like, on Omegle or something, and, but this is actually for real, so that makes it that much more, spooky, though.
oh, yeah, I have plenty of proof of it. I mean, but I have video from my garage too of what looks like just a spirit orb bouncing around like crazy. Like it's and there's no lights in my garage that could have caused that. So it had to be like some kind of ghost light or spirit ball, whatever you want to call it, an orb. I mean, it's just there's nothing that could have done it. I mean, it
Right.
was moving too fast. There's no lights in my garage to begin with, and definitely is not one that's going to move positions. Like,
Yeah, there's,
but Shannon says
these
that
days.
your Shannon is in comments, and she actually says that the scratches you experienced might have been PK manifestation, which is basically doing to yourself with your something you do yourself with your own energy. You just don't realize you're doing it. And if you guys
Oh,
were in
okay.
a tough situation at that point, that's 100% possible. You were doing it to yourselves, or possibly even each other in your dreams. Because I mean, if you were having a hard time, I mean, I don't want
Yeah,
to assume things
it's
about your
just
life, but
I mean, I don't think my body could, like, become possessed and contort that way to scratch myself. I mean, I appreciate the comment, I do, but, I mean, it was just in a
well,
place where
that
we
that's
try
not
to
what
see if
she
we can.
means. It's not you physically scratching yourself.
Oh, okay,
It's
gotcha.
it's more of a spiritual thing. Like it's basically almost like a spirit doing it, but it's just something
Mhm.
that's manifest because if you manifest something hard enough and you want it bad enough, whether it be conscious or not, you can make things happen. Like, if you're looking for
Yes.
if you're looking for a bit of extra money just to fix your car up or something, and then like you really are thinking about it a lot, and eventually you're gonna manifest it. It's gonna come somewhere. Maybe you win a scratch ticket big. Maybe somebody gives you a gift and it's just cash or a gift card, or maybe someone comes through and offers to help you. All of a sudden, like it's your conscious doing it. Like that's what Shannon says. It's your conscious that's doing it, and you're making these marks appear in your body just basically mentally. It's part of that whole like we don't know what our brains can do. What if we do have these you know telepathic, telekinetic, PK manifesting type of waves in our brains that we just don't know how to use?
Yeah, I do buy into that because when people say he's battling his demons, like I do believe in soul possession where people are possessed by evil that they're no longer themselves. You don't even recognize them anymore, and there's you can't save them. You can't help them come back to who they once were, and they insist on being that way. They're self-destructive, mutually destructive, no more empathy, no compassion. They're just cold dark beings, and they'll lie about everything and things about like, wait, hold on a second, you're lying, why are you doing that? Everybody knows that you're lying, this is crazy. And it happened with my family, it happened with my friend's family, and even her son, by the way. I knew her son. I mean, and just all of a sudden he just went dark and cold and didn't want anything to do with the family anymore. And it's just really scary. And I do believe that people can be possessed by evil and they're no longer themselves at all. It's just inexplicable. So the scratches on my back at that time, yes, maybe it was evil spirits around me because evil preys, I believe, on weakness. When you're at your weakest in life, if you're not in good spirits, like your feelings, your emotions, that positive energy, I think that like a predator in the wild, it will prey on you in one form or another.
Yeah, I mean that's the funny thing
Um,
about demons. That's the funny thing about demons. I mean, it's it's been hypothesized by a lot of people that demons are not a real creature that you're not gonna wake up in the middle of the night and see one like crawling into your bed like on that show Evil. Like it's not the way it works. Are a lot of people believe that demons are 100% mental. That we basically put them on ourselves because we are going through really difficult times, and it's our kind of our escape in a way. Like our mind creates like these figures that just I mean, yeah, they may even give them shape because that's what our brain was taught it looks like. But it's just usually a mental thing where if you're fighting your demons, you're fighting yourself. that you're fighting the worst part of yourself. That's all it is. And
Right.
if you open its cage, it's hard to get back in.
Yeah, that's absolutely and also this is a good segue from the demons thing because of the discussion about my friend had an experience with an incubus. Which if anybody doesn't know, there's a succubus and incubus, one's male, one's female. Some believe that they're both genders, but literally just sex with a ghost during sleep. But she found a heart shape, condensation from the window on her bathroom window. Like it's like, and actually her bedroom first, and then later on it's like directly like a heart shape, a big heart, and there's no explanation for it. Like she doesn't draw hearts on windows, but it just looks. And so we looked it up online. There's only one person actually went on national television talking about it. It was this one blonde lady talking about it on a show where she experienced the same thing. Like she actually had a long relationship with the ghost sexually, like having orgasms during her sleep. I know it's a touchy subject, but going from the demons concept, people
I,
advise
I've
online that
I've
that they're not
actually
friendly.
I've
Yeah.
actually had I've had an expert on this topic on the show before as well. It's called spectrophilia. It's to
Mhm.
actually have a sexual relationship with ghosts. It's called spectrophilia, and it can happen. I mean, it can happen. I don't doubt it. I've heard, I wouldn't say a lot, but I've heard enough experiences of it that like I believe it can happen. I mean, where the hell were these ghosts like this when I was in high school? That's what I'm saying. But
Exactly. Exactly.
but I mean, Shan just said that she's been assaulted by a ghost, and I've heard other experiences of that too. So I mean, spirits were once human. Maybe they still have human urges.
Right. And then also another inexplicable thing is I know a lot of people actually I mean they claim to be like tinnitus or something, but I beg to differ because
Hey,
I've actually
keep
experienced it.
keep going, man. I
Yeah.
just gotta go check on something real fast.
All right, gotcha. Yeah, just waking up to a loud bang or crashing sound. I'm sure some of you out there have experienced it, but everything's completely silent around you when you wake up. I mean, I'm talking about like a loud, like shotgun blast sound, like a gun sound or something, or a big bang or something, and you just wake up and everything's quiet around you. Some people just say they dismiss it as, oh, maybe it's your tinnitus or maybe something did fall, but you check around you, you check the whole house, and nothing fell that loud, and nothing could have been that loud anyways, even if you slam the door as hard as you can. So that's the great mystery there on the next one I wanted to point out. But I do have a last point here with what happened at an airport with my friend recently. Also, I had to point out my friend because she has experienced so many more paranormal incidents than my soulmate and I. So definitely want to bring that part up. But yeah, for anybody in the chat who's live right now, have you guys ever had any of these things happen? Because I know we got some comments there about being attacked by the spiritual realm, if you call it. Some people say demons or ghosts or evil spirits even. So that's what I felt. I was attacked by something with those scratches on my back and on her back. It was more than a coincidence because we couldn't even reach that with our own nails, and there was nothing around us who could have made those scratches. But yeah, but I already talked enough about that. I'm sure people also have their television or lights turned on. Some people even filmed it live on video where they'll talk about a light turning on and then it'll turn on. I mean, in order to validate that, yeah, I mean, you have to play the skeptic. It's hard to tell. But as far as dreams, you just have to take the person's word for it. As far as dreams are concerned, and witnessing animals going around sniffing the house and meowing or woofing, or little babies, can they see things that we can't? It's pretty good questions here. But as far as the incubus situation, after researching that and people actually having relationships with phantoms or ghosts, whatever they want to label them, it's kind of interesting. And as far as the dreaming as well, it's kind of interesting because I don't have dreams at all, just like what Jeremy was talking about. But my friend will have all these dreams and then they actually come true, like with the meanings of them, most of them. Some of them, I think, like, here's my take on dreams that I didn't mention. I think that, at the end of the day, if you experience a stressful day, your mind is trying to start to be at ease and relaxed. And so maybe all those thoughts, come in like a collage of just chaotic, thoughts that come into your mind's trying to be at rest, but you can't because consciously you're still awake, you're still stressed out. So that bad energy, that negative energy is still in you. It's trying to sort itself out. So it manifests in all these crazy thoughts and become dreams later on. So yeah, but there's definitely something there as far as this invisible world talking to us, the paranormal communicating with us in some way, shape, or form. And life is some type of test ultimately. And a lot of people want to just dismiss all of these paranormal activities as just coincidence, but there's so many that are not coincidence. Yeah, Jeremy, the last one I was going to mention is my friend was at the airport recently, and then it was a very long line, and then this old lady comes out of nowhere and says you're going to miss your flight, like just out of nowhere. Like, why her? Number one, I mean, she didn't say anything. Like, it's the old lady didn't know anything about my friend, and all of a sudden says you're gonna miss your flight, and she caught her flight on time. But how could this random old lady come out of nowhere? And then she couldn't even see her later on after she told her, and she caught her flight. But and why did she even approach her? How did she even know which flight? Because this line was like for multiple flights. It wasn't like the same gate or anything. See, I mean, it's just like more than a coincidence. Like, why and how, right? I mean, is that like a sign as well?
I
Somebody
mean,
watching over you?
yeah, there's a lot of different things that could be. I mean, my biggest question would be, like, we don't know who this woman is, so she is it even an actual human being, or is it a guardian angel? Is it just a spirit walking by, or is it an actual human that has some kind of abilities, whether they be a medium or a psychic, or whether they just have premonitions? Like, maybe it could have just been a random human and like maybe they just got told, like, you need to go tell this man this right now. And I mean, it happens. It happens. There are a lot of strange occurrences in this world where a random person will come up and tell you something, and it may not even make sense at the time, but I mean, in like Shannon just said, like I said earlier, like a guardian angel spirit guide is the other option. Like, what
Right.
if? I mean, it seems like a weird moment for your guide to manifest and just to tell you you're gonna miss a flight, but stranger things have happened.
It was super important because if she would have missed her flight, there's no reimbursement, there's no refund. So it was a big deal at that time, and that's why she was so startled and confused because she rushed to catch her flight because it was a flight change. It was literally that's why it was. How could this even be possible? Because I mean, how did she know about her flight changing the time? And it was a super long line, and out of nowhere, she hasn't even seen this old woman before, and it was an old lady. And it's really strange because I've heard other similar stories about an old man or an old woman out of nowhere, like, and just says something that you need to hear or warns you about something that's going to happen. So it did remind me about the whole guardian angel thing. Well, the philosophy on that, the theory actually. Um, and so I think it was sort of a manifestation of that type of material right there, something warning you, but in person form, which made it even freakier because it was like really it couldn't just be like, okay, it pops up into your mind, hey, flight change, go check the screens, I gotta run. No, it was actually a person coming straight to you out of nowhere telling you. It's just seriously, like, how how does that happen, you know
I mean, who knows? I mean, spirit guides are a real thing. I've heard enough tales of them, and I've heard enough experiences with them where I truly believe that there are spirit guides. I'm not a big fan of the term angels. I don't. It ties into religion too much for me. But spirit guides
right,
are a
right.
real thing, and I mean, I actually recently got told by a medium that my spirit guide's name is Anthony, and I was like, okay. I have been trying to call out to him since then, but nothing, nothing. But apparently, he's not meant to show yet. Apparently, he'll show it, or she'll show at another time. So
Interesting.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I truly believe spirit guides are real, though. I mean, I've had people on my show who are getting messages from the spirit guides while they're on the show, and you can see it in their eyes. Like their eyes just kind of like go back in their head, and they're kind of like it's like they're receiving a message within. So
Yeah,
I mean,
it, it makes me think, like if you've seen the series and comic book, X-Men, like everyone has a different ability, a different superpower, if you will, and I think that's probably created to dismiss the idea that maybe as humans, like for example, I have this great intuition and this great, knowledge and wisdom, intelligence, right? Because I believe that being smart, book smart, is nothing to do with the actual intelligence. Like being able to actually, to be a genius is to create things completely original of your own creation, that maybe nobody else has ever thought of yet. So that's what makes you special. What do you have to offer the world, and what do you have to bring to the table? I think every one of us has their own superpower, if you will, like their own innate ability, something that they're really good at. Because my friend can dream till the cows come home, and actually, most of those dreams will come true as to what they mean. But I don't dream at all, and her intuition is not as powerful as mine, but she's still intelligent, and that's why I talk to her sometimes about these things, because she's intelligent. So, and also my soulmate's intelligent as well. That's why this is one of the most things why we get along is we don't believe in all the the illusions that happen, especially nowadays more than ever, that we believe are lies and deceptions, illusions, and we don't succumb to any like for example religion or even history. We doubt the history, the way they wrote it in the books and yada yada. But without getting into all that, I think that every one of us has something that we're not just really good at as a talent or a hobby, but something from the paranormal, like something that's inexplicable, like more than just five senses, if you will.
It's been confirmed by it's been confirmed to me by a lot of guests on my show, and by I mean, but it's always been a belief of mine before that even. But yeah, every human does have an ability of some kind. It may be minuscule, it may be impressive as can be, but every human has an ability of some kind. It's all about having your spiritual awakening and unlocking that ability, which a lot of humans are too distracted by everything in this day and age to really unlock it. That's why in ancient times, everybody knew their ability basically, usually because they weren't distracted. I mean, they had very little going on besides work. They'd work and sleep and eat. That's all they would do. So, I mean, nowadays we have 20,000 distractions every day, every second of our lives that we could be focusing on rather than focusing on ourselves. So that's why
Right.
we don't
Right.
awaken our abilities anymore. And I love the X Men comparison, huge X Men fan. But and yeah, I mean, it's just it is like that. I mean, we are. I mean, we don't have as impressive abilities as a lot of the mutants do, but we have some. There's definitely some Professor X's out there.
Yeah, my favorite was well, initially of course Wolverine is everybody's, but almost everybody's, like Street Fighter's Ryu. But I had to say Psylocke, because this actually deals with the
Yep.
paranormal. Is I guess she's like two people in one, if not like she has a like an
Yeah.
um inner voice or something, psychically, that manifests into like a weapon as well. Like this energy, like she can form like a sword or something out of it. It's kind of confusing, but I think she's kind of two people in one, and it happens sometime in her life or whatnot. But
I
I found always
mean,
found that interesting.
yeah, she has a spirit. She basically is possessed by a spirit, and
Right.
but she's learned to control it, and she can control who's in charge. And I mean, her spirit story is impressive. But yeah, Psylocke's always been badass. They need to do her on either the cartoons or the movies right. They need to do her somewhere right.
Yeah,
But
exactly. They did it really wrong in multiple forms, but in the few that they tried. But yeah, that was gonna be like kind of my the last thing I had to talk about was, do you think as far as the concept of reincarnation, or maybe we're just a culmination of different spirits into our body, or because I believe it's just one spirit and we're assigned to a body at some time after birth, perhaps, because I don't have any memory of anything after, or before birth or after birth. Even I think at a certain time when I was a toddler, maybe that's when the spirit is assigned and recycled somehow. But so, for example, some people believe that when it's a full moon, that's when a lot of people die and the spirits go to the moon and transfer like through the aura borealis. Or there's a lot of different theories out there. But soul recycling, like there's some type of soul chamber in the earth, maybe the center of the earth or whatever. But there's a lot of theories on it. But do you think of something like because some people talk about their previous lives, and I'm like, yeah, but I can't confirm that if I was a man or a woman in my previous life, and now we get recycled to the same realm, the same world, or you know. It's
I mean,
really none of this can be really confirmed, but I mean, I do appreciate theories.
oh, I mean, I'm a full 100% believer in reincarnation. The moon thing's a little new to me. I never heard that before, and that's kind of interesting. And that kind of would explain the whole legends around the full moon type thing. But I, I believe, I mean, my beliefs are more ultra extraterrestrial in nature. I mean, yes, I believe our spirits do reincarnate. Not maybe not every time we die, but they're basically sitting around in what I like to call the DMV in the sky, and they're waiting for their number to be called, and they're waiting to be assigned, or either they're waiting to be assigned or they're waiting to pick what they want to drive. It's like picking out a car. You got to pick the one you want to drive, or you think you want to drive. But I mean, reincarnation is definitely true. I mean, I think it's. I mean, I've heard past life transgressionists tell of past lives they've read where people were aliens on other planets or in other dimensions, like, or they're animals. So I mean, we have a choice, I think. I mean, and Shen is right there with me on this. We can. She says we have a choice. We can either become a spirit guide or an angel or reincarnate. It's our choice once we're there. I don't know if I agree that it's our choice 100%. I think every spirit has goals it's meant to meet, and I think until you meet those goals, you're going to keep reincarnating.
Right,
Once you
right.
meet
That's
those goals,
exactly. Yeah, go ahead.
once you meet those goals, then you may get a choice, maybe.
Yeah, that's I have to. Wow, that's I'm so happy that actually said that because that's precisely what my theory is. Me personally, is that well, I'm a life coach, but I'm also a relationship coach for a reason. Because I really believe that finding someone special, to befriend at first, becoming great friends, best friends, and then later on, of course, of the opposite sex. Well, in most cases, heterosexual. I'm not going to step on toes, but whoever you choose to be your potential future partner, if you will, that finding and falling in love with someone with all of your heart and soul, even I think that that's our goal, and that if you really accomplish that and you can hold on to it for the rest of your life, that you pass the test. That's my theory. That you pass the test, and then you go on to the next stage of whatever's after that. Who knows what's after that? But you don't get recycled back into this world to see if you finally, because all this evil stuff that's in our world has made us to think, to be sarcastic about love, to not believe in love, to think that love is not important, and so everybody's just really passive about the idea of love itself, and that's why people just keep getting recycled and more bitter, and the evil becomes more evil. The world becomes more evil because nobody's getting it. The exit, which is finding somebody to love with all their heart and soul. Perhaps maybe that's the exit ticket.
Maybe. I mean, but I've also heard theory. I've heard. I mean, have you heard of the idea of twin flames?
Yes, that's something that, see, I believe the soulmate's not the twin flames part because, well, for me, my personally, I believe that anything dealing with fire and splitting the soul, I believe we all have our own individual soul, and that, soulmates, the mating of two souls to become one. I believe in that becoming one, but not necessarily physically, two souls become
I
one
mean,
soul. But so the twin flames thing for me conflicts heavily on that.
well, that's not always the definition of twin flames, though. Twin flames to past life transgressionists, because I recently talked to a twin flame expert,
Hmm.
and they are also a past life transgressionist. I forget exactly who it was, but basically, it just means it's two spirits that are meant to follow each other throughout multiple lives.
Okay.
Kind of like, I mean, Romeo and Juliet's kind of like, the most common used example of that, but it's just two souls, two spirits, or you want to call them, that are meant to travel through multiple lives together and end up together in multiple lives. Maybe they'll be brothers in one life, maybe they'll be lovers in another life, maybe they'll be cousins in another life. Like, they're always just together, though. They always end up finding each other.
Okay. Yeah. That reminds me of like the Muslim faith, for example, where they said everything's already written, you just have to go through it. So that's the theory, that everything, like destiny versus fate. So if you don't meet your destiny, then you meet a dark fate, if you will. um that wasn't supposed to happen, but choice, and that was in the movie The Matrix also. The problem is choice, right?
Yep. Free will. Free will is always the issue. I mean,
Right.
it's it's why karma. It's why I mean karma still exists, but it's why fate is a hard debated topic because free will impacts fate to some degree. I am a firm believer that there are certain things that you're fated to deal with no matter what. But I think I mean it's if you saw the Disney movie Hercules, it's kind of like it's sad, but it's kind of like the best way to really give a visual for what I'm talking about because I think there are some of those golden threads that the fates can't cut and that we're meant to do certain things in life, and nothing's going to change that. I mean, I think everything else, like, yeah, your free will cut that thread in a second if it really isn't that important. But there are certain things that are so important that we can't not do them, if
Yeah,
that makes
that's,
sense.
as far as me making the right choices. Yeah, yeah, if I advise somebody to make the right choice, I say follow your heart. Don't be clouded by just what your immediate thoughts are. Think it over. Go by your intuition. Like, do you really feel like this is the right choice? Like, just ponder upon it, but not just mentally. Like, really feel instead of thinking. And I think that'll take you on the right track, no matter what it is. Because a lot of people, they don't think; they just rush into a relationship, and then it all goes south either right away or eventually. And I think it's just because they don't really make that emotional and spiritual connection with that person. They just think, okay, temporary satisfaction, I'm happy. You think you're happy, but that's just satisfaction. There's a huge difference, I think, in just seeking pleasure versus an actual meaningful relationship, a deep connection.
Well, actually, let's spend the last few minutes here talking more about what it is you do, because I do like to give my guests a chance to advertise themselves in a way. And Shannon actually asked earlier, but I was waiting until we got to this point to bring it up. She said, Ben, I don't fit well with a lot of people romantically, but it's harder when aging. I'm 55. What can I do to find people that are suitable for me? And I'm sorry to turn this into a Dear Abby kind of, but I mean, it kind of is what you do.
Oh no, I'm very thankful. Thank you so much for asking that question. Yeah, feel free to, as Jeremy said, subscribe to my channel. I'm all ears. Trust me, ask me as many questions as you want. Email me. I mean, it's Benjamin Ramos at mail.com. I'm very open about helping people with anything, and I'm sure Jeremy is here with this topic as well. I would have to say 55. Look, age is just a number. I always have to say to people, it's you're only as old as how you feel inside. That's my number one advice in this category about age. Forget about the number 55. If you feel old, then you're old, but you can still correct it. So work on your physical fitness, your mental and emotional well-being. So fix yourself before you try to find somebody else. Because if you try to find somebody else, first befriend somebody else. Look, there's a lot of toxic people out there. Okay, but look, just ignore them because that's part of the gender war. Everybody's going to be pointing fingers. Ignore the losers. I mean, it's nothing offensive, but they're losing out on life by acting that way, by making it like a war of genders, right? So my advice to you is to take it nice and slow. Use your intuition, as we've been discussing here. I'm sure you know what it is, and how to go about your feelings more than just simple thoughts. But you have to establish a really, I did streams on this recently, actually, really heavily, about establishing a good friendship first. Become best friends before you even think about taking it to the next level, which is an actual partner couple relationship. And because guess what? Most likely things are going to work out just fine if you guys can become best friends together and let them know that your intent is to possibly take things to the next level. Because if they friend zone you, it's over. You're wasting your life and time. Move on to the next person. There's no harsh feelings, nothing personal. It's just you have a mission, which is to find somebody to love eventually with all your heart and soul. So that's my advice is, as far as the Dear Abby, it's no, it's perfectly fine. That's what makes me unique, actually, is because people believe in dating, and I believe that dating is putting on a persona, trying to act like you're this and that. It's too much acting and going on, and then you could waste your time, money, and your life on trying to find somebody. That's like a shortcut. It doesn't happen that way. Like with my soulmate and I, we just met each other, and it just happened that we didn't even expect to become a couple. We just became really better and better friends, that a friendship, and then it just magically happened one day. We took it to the next level, and we're like, oh my goodness, we're a couple. Imagine that, after being great friends, we didn't even think about becoming a couple. So that's what's so beautiful. And I want everybody to experience that. Yes, it does happen if you do it this way. It will happen. Because the problem why so many relationships are failing is because they're rushing into them, expecting, like, okay, I'm going to date this person. They're hot. I like the way they think, the things they say, their profession or whatnot. Yeah, but those things are not going to, suture you guys together, not going to solidify anything. that's really going to become deeper in the future. It's just you're just finding common ground, commonalities, if you will. I hope that helps. There's so much more on my channel and my book and my video course. So if you're interested, don't be shy.
I mean, Shannon made a couple comments during that, and she says she agrees with the age thing, but there's not a lot of free men at your age. At her age, well, I mean, Shannon, if there's not free
Oh,
men at your age, then go rob the cradle a little bit. Come on, have fun, girl.
exactly. That's Jeremy stole it right out of my mouth. Yes, do not be shy because age is not a number. Of course, we're not talking about minors here, okay? Because that's the real big problem these days. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that in the 20s, for example, you'd be surprised. The whole cougar craze that happened in the early 20s, the early 2000s, if you will. I mean, there's a difference between the cougars and just cougars who want to have fun and use younger men, or the cougars who are they're tired of the same aged men that they are, and they want somebody young and mature. Yes, they do exist because I was young and mature and wise for my age. So don't be afraid, like Jeremy said, robbing the cradle. Just go for maturity above all, and then you can be the teacher. And it's so beautiful when you got a young man learning from. I don't say older woman. I say a mature woman. Focus on that word mature, and then you get rid of that stupid word old because it makes you sound useless and like, oh, I'm above I'm getting ready to die, my life is almost over. That's nonsense. If you're young at heart, you have a life to live. But if you give up and say you're old and my time's over, I'm not going to find anybody, then you are dying. You're killing yourself, right? Don't do that.
I mean, yeah, the whole Stifler's mom phenomenon, as I like to call it, in the early 2000s, definitely like it. Trust me, I had some fun with it in my 20s, but it's oof. I miss Craigslist days, but yeah. I mean, age. You don't have to be with someone around the same age as you. I mean, I see on Facebook all the time older women with younger men, and the more creepy version of older men with younger women. I mean, the whole what's his name? Ah, Leonardo
Oh yeah.
DiCaprio thing. Like I mean, to each their own. As long as it's legal, I don't care. But I mean,
Yeah, and it's sad that people actually see a mature woman with a younger guy as more sinful and wrong compared to an older guy with a younger woman. I'm like, no, it's the same thing. It's just reversed. So what's the problem here? I mean,
well,
why
I
are they
mean,
so shamed?
because society is ass backwards. But
Yeah,
that's why.
yeah,
But it's basically the bottom line of it. But I mean, yeah. If you see like most people, if they see an older, more mature woman with a younger guy, then they usually just assume it's like a sugar mama situation type of thing.
right.
And but it's not always. I mean, it's sometimes you feel young still. I mean, men tend to mature faster than women do. Men tend
I
to,
would
and I don't mean that. I don't mean that in like we actually are more mature. We don't act mature.
right,
We don't act more mature,
right,
but we tend to mature. We tend to act our age a lot as we get older a lot more. And I mean, I'm in my late 30s, and I feel old as shit sometimes. But it's because I'm a busy man. I'm a busy man, and I'm stressed out at times. Like, but I know the
right.
reasons. I don't have to go question myself. But it's just I know women in their 60s and 70s that act like they're younger than like 40 years younger than they are. They act like they're my age, and I'm just like, how? By the time I'm your age, I want to be sitting with a book somewhere and not doing anything. Like, that's just how I want it to be. But I mean, and Morning Harley says, I like younger guys. They are more fun. Well, there you go, Shane.
Exactly.
Go have
There
more
you
fun.
go.
Go,
Absolutely.
go ahead. And yeah, I mean, that's the best advice we can give you, I think, on this show. But Benjamin, tell them again what your channel is and where they can find you one last time before we say goodbye.
All right, thanks so much, Jeremy. Yes, this is Benjamin Ramos. I'm an author, so I have my own book and also course creator. Be sure to check that out. Also, with my YouTube channel, I'm on all social medias, but my YouTube channel is my main headquarters. So, Perfect Soulmates 2023 That's just because it was established in 2021, but I didn't start really becoming active since early this year. So I got a lot done, over 100 live streams and 30 more on the new Perfect Soulmate show. And I always try to be as energetic as possible. And sometimes I toe the line on the side of controversy in relationships, but I'm sure you're gonna have a great time. The main issue right now is just people are too shy to leave comments. So if you guys are very vocal and you want to talk about anything and anything, just drop it down because I'm also a life coach. So anything that you might, not just what you're struggling with, but anything you want to express, be expressive, because if you're afraid to express yourself, I think you're just not as alive as you should be. So feel free. Welcome everybody.
And Harley says, "I know when I am 60, I'll be wilding it out still." So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. That's the spirit.
But thank you to everybody, and you're welcome, Shannon. Glad to be able to entertain you this morning. Sometimes my morning interviews are the best. I don't know why. Maybe it's 'cause I'm not fully awakened in my asshole mode yet, but maybe I don't know. But I want to thank everybody for watching. Be sure to come back this week to see more episodes, and be sure to tune in tonight. Actually, I forgot, 8 o'clock Eastern tonight. Top 50 serial killers movies bracket. It's going to be an entertaining few hours. That's for damn sure. We've been preparing for this for fucking 4 months at this point. A lot of movies, but come on back tonight and check that out. And you all know where you can find me. If you don't by now, fucking shame. But check the outro for all listeners. Check the outro; it's there as always. And I will see you all at some point in the future. Well, tonight actually. Keep forgetting about that. Have a good one, everybody. Have a good weekend. Have a good Saturday.